from the rulers of independent states or communities that existed before the formation of modern Nigeria. Although they do not have formal political powers in many cases, they have continued to command respect from their people and have considerable influence within their domain and the people. Modern Nigeria encompasses lands traditionally occupied by highly diverse ethnic groups with very different languages and traditions. In broad terms, the southeast, for instance, including the Niger Delta, was occupied mainly by Igbos and related people, the southwest by Yoruba and related people, and the north by Hausa Fulani people, with a complex intermingling of different ethnic groups in the central region between north and south. Before the arrival of the British in the late 19th century, the history of the areas that made Nigeria today was turbulent, with periods when empires such as those of Oyo, Kanem Borno, and Sokoto gained control over large areas, and other periods when the areas were more fragmented. Although political structures differ widely between different ethnic groups, it was common for each town or collection of towns to have a recognized leader, who might in turn be subordinate to the leaders of a large polity. Thus, the Sokoto Caliphate was divided into the emirates, with the emirs loosely subordinate to the Sultan of Sokoto, although acting as independent leaders at times. Europeans had long traded with the coast, primarily exchanging cotton and other manufactured goods for slaves and palm oil products at centers such as Calabar, Benin, and Lagos. The Niger Coast Protectorate was established in 1891, holding a small area along the coast. During the period 1879 to 1900, the Royal Niger Company made a concerted effort to take control of the interior, using disciplined troops armed to the maximum and making treaties of protection with the local leaders. The company's territory was sold to the British government in 1900, with the southern region merged with the Niger Coast Protectorate to become the Southern Nigeria Protectorate, and the Northern Nigeria Protectorate remaining separate. In 1914, the two, that's the North and Southern Protectorates, were merged into the colony and Protectorate of Nigeria, with roughly the same boundaries as the modern state of Nigeria. The first British High Commissioner for Northern Nigeria, Frederick Lugard, tried to rule through the traditional leaders, and this approach was later extended to the south. Lugard's successor, Hugh Clifford, left this system in place in the north, where the emirate system had long traditions, but introduced a legislative council with some elected members in the south, thereby relegating the influence of the traditional leaders to merely symbolic roles. Over time, the relationship between the colonial administration and the traditional leaders evolved. For example, the Tiv people as an ethnic group had always been extremely decentralized with no single ruler. The British created the office of the Tiv in 1947, appointing Mike Rezakpe as the first ruler with the title. This is to have a traditional ruler who can speak for the Tiv people. With independence in 1960, followed by alternating democratic and military governments, the status of the traditional leaders evolved even further. In the north, the emirs finally lost power to the government administration, though said administration was often staffed by traditional notables. Where rulers had previously acquired office strictly through inheritance or appointment by a council of elders, today the government increasingly became involved in the succession processes. In some cases, the government has merged or split traditional domains. For example, there had been two rulers of the Efik people in the area around Calabar, but in December 1970, it was agreed to combine the office into a single one that was to be held by a ruler known as the Obong. The government has maintained colonial classifications. Thus, the appointment of the monarch was attached with grades and level of monarch into first grade, second grade, and third grade monarch. Traditional leaders today are still highly respected in many communities and have considerable political and economic influence. Although they have no formal role in the democratic structure, there is intense competition for royal seats amongst the funded pool of eligible dynasts. These leaders played useful roles in brokering peace between the people and the states, enhancing national identity, resolving conflicts, and providing an institutional safety valve for often inadequate state bureaucracies.